Gentlemen, welcome to, I was about to call it Otherworld Stories, not even close. Welcome to Convention War Stories! To my right, somebody who's been a part of convention since before time began, which is interesting to me because the dinosaurs weren't super into the raves. And then you printed a bunch out, and now they're super into the raves. He has a 3D printer, and it terrifies me. Give it up for Fur! Nice hat.
Thanks.
Anytime. And of course, you know him as the con chair of Basement Con. Somehow, the one, the only, thank God, Boozy Badger! And coming to the stage, you know him, you love him, you tried to kill him once or twice in your car. Give it up for the chairman of Anthragon, Uncle Kage! Do you need more wine? I will go get you more wine after I get...
Call somebody, don't go yourself.
No one has access to my room. That is a new rule of mine ever since I woke up and somebody was staring at me. They were the right person to be staring at me, but at that point no one gets to go in my room. That's how it works.
Sanitized?
Yes, just now. They just did it. Yeah, they are at the dealer's table. Alright, I will take care of that in a second. For those of you who don't know what this panel is, this is Convention War Stories. On this stage right now is probably, oh dear God, between all of us, we are over 40 years of convention running experience, especially if you count things outside of the furry fandom. And then there's Fur. But if you wanted a description of what Fur does, just nod, smile, and cry, and that's their job description. It's on their resume, it's beautiful. Absolutely. Even when he goes back to his old company, trying to get a job in a place that he was just fired from, with the worst fake mustache ever.
The mustache was glorious.
The mustache was amazing. It looked like you had a German Shepherd sitting on your lip. It was fucking amazing.
It worked, didn't it?
Convention War Stories is just a glimpse into what happens behind the scenes of the convention, because there is so much that goes on that A, we don't want you to know about until it's over, and B, know that you're going to find out about anyway, so we might as well joke about it because the rumor mill is real. If you want an example of how real the rumor mill is, I was at MCFC just a few weeks ago.
No.
I was standing in the hallway and took a phone call from my job. It was not my boss, it was not the person who needed to talk to me, it was my coworker, my partner, my friend. And he calls me up and says, Dan, they fired you. Like, oh my God, they did? He's like, yeah, and we got very emotional. Myself and Tom have worked together for over a decade. We have been partners, and we are in a solo group. So when it's us, it is just the two of us. And that was over. And that hit us both. And I kind of teared up in the hallway, and I ended the call, and I went to my panel. And 45 minutes later, I got out of that panel, and the entire convention knew I was fired! Why? Because in the hallway, 2 people saw me, and 2 turned into 4, turned into 8, turned into... You get the idea! So as the square root of everyone found out, before my mate did, somebody finally messaged them. So I'm in the panel, I'm doing the thing, I've got it under control, I'm having a moment, and I look at my phone and there's Annie. Is there something you want to tell me? Thanks, MCFC. You got great communication skills. Sometimes things just happen. Like, you know, something totally out of control. Something like 4 minutes ago. Boozy, would you mind taking over MC duties for just a moment while I try to get a hold of John to get the wine out of my room?
Sure, do you need to tell me you've been fired?
No.
So, I sent a message up to my room, to my lovely spouse saying, sweetie, I am on stage for the rest of the night. Could somebody please bring me my flask of whiskey? Let me read the messages I got back.
You don't know. Thank you.
Can't do.
John.
Sent kids down with it, but they won't let them in. You sent the kids down with a flask full of whiskey. Please do not give the children alcohol. Our other kid is running around shirtless with toilet paper around his waist.
That's my friend's boy.
Also, does it have booze in it? Do not think so. Also true, probably should not have given minors alcohol. Are the kids outside? The kids are going to meet you outside the room, referring to main events. So, Fur goes up to the door, looks at security, and says, those are boozies, they can come in. They come in, and I call my wonderful child Mint up to the stage, and they hand me the flask, and I said, so they wouldn't let you in with the flask of alcohol? I said, sweetie, you gotta hide it. And my child says, oh no, Dad, we hid it. My friend Callum had it in their pocket. I said, okay, then how did security know you had it? Oh, I told them.
At least you hit it.
One, I'm raising honest kids. Two, please do not tell security you're a minor in possession of alcohol. Three, my child then looks at me and says, the alcohol wasn't the reason they wouldn't let us in, though. They wouldn't let us in because it was an 18-plus panel. And I stopped and went, but you still have the alcohol. And they said, yes. I said, so they're fine with the 13-year-olds having liquor, but God forbid they hear me say, fuck!
Well, I have good news for you. Whatever your persona was before this is moot. You are now a mule. You'll get that joke in a few years.
Something you need to understand about the dynamic of this family. I was not present. I got this story secondhand, but it involves a cue ball named Giza. Giza is an old-time furry. And at Basement Con, of which my colleague here is chair, they were building a fire, and apparently because Giza had been an Eagle Scout sometime in his youth, they decided to put him in charge.
We did not decide. I know. I want this made very, very clear. We did not decide to put Giza in charge. We went inside, came back outside, and Giza had started a fire.
Well, Giza wanted some assistance. My understanding is there was a youngster standing observing this, and Giza said, would you get me some kindling wood, please? And the youngster shouted out, child labor is real, and walked away.
Basement Con. I'm looking forward to it.
I am also looking forward to it. Maybe we should plan it.
But by the way, well, we already have a date. We know this because we were told we couldn't change the date because we rolled it over from last year. Yep. But he was more than happy to roll it over instead of making us sacrifice the deposit for the venue because we gave them back their Roku. Which, by the way, that's an adventure in and of itself. Basement Con is held at an undisclosed location in northwest Pennsylvania. The address is New York. It is not New York. New York is on the other side of the one-lane dirt road. The lodge in the middle of the woods is at.
Yep.
The lodge. There is no cell phone service. There is no internet service. There is no cable TV service. There is no telephone service. No one can hear you scream. They have a Roku streaming stick. I don't know because there is no internet service, there is no cell phone service, there is no telephone service. We left that weekend, and somebody sent a message to the staff chat, and it just said, hey, whose Roku is this? And my response was, that is the lodge's. Please do not tell me we stole the lodge's Roku. Oops. I contact this gentleman and I say, we have an issue. He says, what? I go, you know how your name is on the contract as being financially liable for damages? Yes. Well, we stole shit. We mailed it back to the guy who ran it, and the guy who ran it apparently contacted Alkali and was just like, gee, thanks. No one's ever done that before.
Let me returned it or stolen it?
And we did a great job cleaning the place, which was good to find out, because on the first day when we got there and assigned beds, how would you describe our lodge?
Alright, so did you ever see Cabin in the Woods? Increase the murder rate by about 50%.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole basement with all the stuff in it, you know, all the murder implements, just hang them on the walls.
The best way to describe it is in the middle of nowhere. It was started as a snowmobile lodge. Like the guy said, my grandfather built this as a snowmobile lodge. That did not work out well. Then he turned into a cross-country skiing lodge. That did not work out well. There's bedrooms upstairs. Each bedroom has a bathroom, but it's very obvious the bathroom was an afterthought to rent out the bedrooms during the off-season, because the bathroom is roughly the size of a closet.
Yep.
Like a small closet. Like when I sat on the toilet, I had to put one leg in the shower and the other leg out the bathroom door.
Which made it interesting for my room, because there were a few rooms in there that did not have a bathroom, and they just had the nice bathroom, a real bathroom down the hall, and I had to take those. Physically could not fit on the toilet in any of the bedrooms. My knees would hit the wall, my back would be against the toilet. I'm just like, all right, look, the splash zone is real. We gotta get out of this room.
Now here's the fun part. Do you know when we realized that downstairs, because it's in 2 levels, the first level is like a bar and restaurant lodge area with a full working kitchen. We had run of this place the entire time. Like we pulled up and he's like, you can fit 30 people in the lodge. You get 1 RV and 10 tents with the rental fee. For an extra 100, you can have as many tents as you want. But we found out there were full-sized commercial restrooms downstairs. That would have been nice to know before checkout on Sunday, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice venue, but you know, it wasn't hard to leave it clean. Because like we pulled down the covers in one of the rooms and there was a mouse turd on the bed. And like not like a scattering of mouse turds. I know what you're thinking. Like there were no, just like one single mouse turd, like a warning from the rodent mafia. I was outside. A whole group of people came outside and walked over to the garden. And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Nothing." And I said, "You got a jar there. What's in the jar?" And they said, "Nothing." And I said, "Okay, no, seriously, what did you just release in the grass?" And one of them says, "QM said not to tell you, and I love my spouse, but my spouse knows I am terrified of one thing on the face of this earth." And
Your spouse.
I looked at them and I said, "Where did you find the snake?" And that's when Benny said, "It was in our shower." We walked back inside, and that's when the bees arrived. And these were magical fucking bees. Because we would capture one and release it outside and come back and there would be 2. And then 4. And then every time we released them, more bees. And so we have one person sitting there, "I'm allergic to bees," and I'm like, "This is dark magic, though. I need you to understand." The uncovered well in the backyard.
Oh, God.
Before the owner of the place left, he yanked Alkali and I into the kitchen and said, "Here's some ground rules. Don't go too far to the right out the back door. You'll come to the pond. You can't swim in the pond. You may drown. Don't go too near the well. The cover don't work. If you go to the left, you're going to come to the cow pasture. Right now, we only got milk cows in it, but tell everybody not to touch the fence. It's electric." And then he's quiet, gets a far-off look in his eyes and says, "Packs a hell of a punch." I looked at Alkali and said, "Do you think he's touched the fence?" He's like, "He has definitely touched the fence."
He's whizzed on the electric fence. That wasn't our only. Your snake wasn't the only animal incident at Basement Con. My all-time favorite of anything at a convention was middle of the night, New York to our back, you know, the street. Beautiful. The fire is going, keeping us all warm. there is a million stars in the sky. I'm from Chicago. I used to camp all the time. To be able to sit under those stars again was magnificent. And we are all very relaxed, calm, serene even, and so relaxed that no one noticed as the deer came out of the tall grass directly behind Sue, our deer, stuck its big old deer head right here. Right here. And most of us see it, but you know who didn't? The other deer. Sue had no idea. Goes to say something to Benny and just turns and it's... Well, Sue handled themselves amazingly. They screamed, they jumped, but they didn't go into the fire. I can't say the same about the other deer, who decided against all odds that its safest bet was head to New York. Bounds through the tall grass, into the ditch, definitely falls, rolls around a bit, jumps out onto the road once one way, stops, look at the map, goes the other way down the road. So it's just, what was that? And Benny, that was your family.
I'm being so startled.
You were very startled.
Basement Con started as a joke on Twitter to make fun of other conventions. The goal was to be the worst furry convention ever. 2 years ago, it became a reality in a lodge, and I have to say it has encompassed the best parts of a furry convention. Why? We have animals in there invading the premises. The bathrooms don't work properly. The lodge is run down. There's weapons on the wall.
Tons of them.
Like axes all over, and like you're sitting there and you're like, oh, they're decorated. Oh no, that's got an edge on it. That's, like, put that back. There's the box of flesh.
Oh yeah, I do like the box of flesh.
The rusty sawmill blades outside, you know, for the Frisbee contest. Then we helped someone steal a couch.
Oh yeah.
Guy just showed up, walked in, sees us, looks surprised, and says, the owner sent me to pick up this couch. We didn't ask it, like we picked up the couch, walked it outside, put it in the guy's truck, and waved to him as he drove off down the road. And then we went, should somebody have called the owner? There's a very real chance we just helped somebody rob the lodge. Then
all of a sudden that Roku doesn't sound too bad no more, does it?
And on Sunday morning, as we sat there and ate our breakfast, because unlike Fursquared, Basement Con still has free breakfast.
I made you breakfast! I made it! No, breakfast was you. They made it!
As we sat there and ate our breakfast on Sunday morning, a Cadillac Escalade came up that dirt road and pulled into the lodge parking lot. And of course, we all stopped and looked, because when I say we're in the middle of nowhere, we're in the middle of nowhere. The Cadillac door opens. A blonde woman in heels steps out, walks in, looks at the furries eating breakfast. We had Zanny's then Xander fursuit head on a deer head on the wall, held there with duct tape because Zan deer. This woman walks in, looks directly at the blue dragon head mounted on the wall, turns and says, can I talk to the chef? And we're sitting here, and my immediate reaction, bitch, who are you? Well, I want to talk to the chef about renting the boat. The chef is not here. Like, man, look, these two people just fixed a lot of eggs, and there's a dragon head on the wall, and I'm in boxers. The chef's not present at the moment. She's quiet and then goes, well, could someone show me the rooms upstairs? Like, no! She goes, well, this is just, you are the rudest people ever. Turns around, storms out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, holy shit, we're a real convention now because a wild Karen just I can only imagine she was sitting at home late Saturday night in a suburb somewhere, and she stopped, like, she's watching television, she goes, furries are gathering, and rushed to the car. looking forward to Basement Con this year. I'll be happy to be back in the same location.
Oh, dude, I'm super excited about it. I love doing Basement Con because you get to bring all this wonderful food, hang out with your friends, and sometimes just bringing food to a con can be a interesting experience. Right, Fur?
I'm going to tell a Fursquared story. You were still con chair back then too, so this is your fault.
That's not how. No, that's how it works. Your con chair is your fault. Is that how it works?
Oh, absolutely. The buck stops here, man.
Wait, we get a buck? Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, okay.
No, the buck runs into the fire.
The buck runs into.
I feel there's something weird about an unemployed man asking for money.
You're lucky I love you. And you are so unlucky I love you.
Okay, I guess we're not going to see you, like, on the interstate ramp, sitting there with a cardboard sign, are we?
Absolutely not. I can't spell. It'll be LED.
Okay.
There we go. I gotta spell check that shit through Word.
So, I have a fun story about how, you know, just things can, as they change from person to person, can sometimes grow and expand and become a little bit more than what they really are. And the Dorsai, our security here at this convention, they do a lot. They wear a lot of hats, mostly berets, but they sometimes wear other ones.
Nice.
They are wonderful because they tend to be very impartial. And they're also, in their written logs, they have a logbook, and this is a sacred tome of the Dorsai. Because once it goes in there, it does not come out. It is a log of everything that happens at a convention. And occasionally, the convention chair will get a report of what happened, and it's very terse what happens. And it doesn't actually say, it doesn't really tell the whole story sometimes, and sometimes it tells just a little bit too much. So I've been a staffer since the very first one, but I always get my own room. I always stay with a bunch of attendees, and I try to have fun with it. So two of my good friends, Commissar and Becca, were rooming with me, and they decided that we don't want to go out to eat every day. We don't want to go out and have meals all the time, so we're going to have some stuff in our hotel room. I'm like, that's fine. That's a very smart thing to do. And we went out on Friday and got pizza. And we brought a Pizzazz pizza reheater. It's a very small, little, tiny, just appliance, and all it does is it just reheats pizza. That's the whole thing it does. We put out the Pizzazz, we reheat the pizza, and everything's fine. We come back Saturday, and the room had been opened. The Pizzazz had a note on it. The plug on it had a ball of twine wrapped around it, so we couldn't plug it back in. And there was just a note on our door saying, "Get rid of it, signed DI." So naturally, they go take the Pizzazz and they put it into the car, and there's no more issue. Until Sunday, when I hear the Dorsai regulars tell the story of the illicit pizzeria that they somehow disabled. They found evidence of a commercial kitchen in one of the hotel rooms. There were attendees that were going to have an illicit food operation to try to undercut the hotel's pizza buffet. These attendees, they were going to come and they were just going to destroy everything about our convention. They were going to upheave democracy. They were going to just destroy capitalism by serving pizza to the masses.
Oh my God.
That's the pizza. Yeah, I have been told of a log from MagFest that began with, "Despite the appearance of police in full riot here, the convention was quiet." You would not believe just how terse some of those things are. Oh, I would believe it.
Oh, we get to read them. We get to... Originally, Whose Line Is It Anyway was going to have an out-of-context quote game that was nothing but quotes from the Dorsai regulars. And then we realized, oh shit, about 50% of these are super incriminating. Maybe we shouldn't. Eat the meat. Eat the meat. Oh my God. I do love how I actually found out about the pizza. So there is a moment, I think all of us have had to do it at one point or another. You do meet with the Dorsai afterwards. They have the log. They go through everything with you. And according to my friend who was in the other room behind the locked door, as they hear me go, "Vernon, what?" You know, he found out about the pizza. Uncle Kage, we had a few people, we had started talking about this earlier today, and I had a few people ask questions about it. For those of you who don't know, if you haven't seen online recently, Anthrocon is about to embark on something absolutely wonderful, incredible. This year, Anthrocon is turning Penn Avenue into a block party for the city of Pittsburgh along with the furries. It's going to be a giant event outside of Anthrocon where everyone gets to commingle, have a wonderful time. And all of that started years ago when this insane man over here decided, hey, what happened if we took the fursuit parade outside?
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Would you like to tell us about that first year, what's leading to this amazing event that's about to happen,
Okay.
by the way, in July, Anthrocon in Pittsburgh, block party, be there. How did this all start?
Well, first off, I heard somebody say, in July. Yes, it's hot. Yes, it's fucking hot. You don't like it, don't fucking go, all right? But you do have a certain cooling effect from the various volatile organic compounds rising off the Allegheny River. We took the fursuit parade outside. Alkali was there for moral support because until we actually did this, we did not know how it was going to be received. It was a big expense, it was a lot of work. We had to shut down a city street, reroute the buses, have police on corners to tell angry people that you can't come down here. And I was afraid we'd go out there and there'd be two little old ladies and a blind guy. But when the first fursuiters went down the escalators, and I went down there with them, and Alkali was behind me, there were an estimated 5,000 people who were standing there cheering, and it was magical, and I was on cloud 9 for about 10 minutes. These were the greatest 10 minutes of my life. And then minute 11 came up. Because the first thing that went down was the fursuiter who had decided to incorporate the Virginia battle flag in his fursuit design. And you could see this, people are, yeah, furries. And as this guy went by, this like moving line of silence followed him. As people just kind of stared, and then the next guy came along, yeah, furries. And I'm like, oh, good, that's the worst thing that can happen today. Then comes Mr. Zentai. He walked out, and I'm standing with Alkali, and I think I said to Alkali, okay, the guy with the Confederate thing, if that's the worst, oh my Jesus fuck. Because Mr. Zentai, you know what I mean by Zentai, when you wear the spandex head to toe, and it's all spandex? This guy, first off, he was very gifted. I could tell. So could everybody else. Because as gifted as he was, he had never heard of a cod piece. And he was pointing the way for everybody. And I'm standing next to Alkali saying, somebody stop him, somebody stop him, somebody stop him. And you remember that like moving section of silence that followed the Confederate guy? This was the opposite. Mostly from the men, actually.
Yeah, true. I loved it.
That's why, okay, if you're in Anthrocon's fursuit parade, Alkali and I are at the top of the stairs, ostensibly to tell people the rules, do not stop, you don't want to back up the line. Mostly we're gatekeepers, because I'm standing there with a tranquilizer gun. And basically it's out there. Get him out.
No. It's We actually had to plan this for year 2, so I was lucky enough that Kage came to me. He's like, hey, could you help me do this? Absolutely, no problem. So our reel goes, we got to watch out. Well, that wasn't necessary that year. That year we did not have a single incident. But remember what they said before that? Remind them of the rules, don't stop. If you've never been to Anthrocon and seen the escalator that we're talking about, it is not a 1-floor escalator. It is not a 2-floor. It is a 3-floor escalator. It is a giant staircase that moves and eats fursuits. And at the front of this parade, because it went so well that first year, it was incredible. Everyone loved it. They wanted, what are you going to do? How do you make it better? They put a marching band at the front of this parade. And this band was awesome. Right in front, leading the way.
Awesome? No, awful. Awful.
It's close enough. Because they were stopping for pictures. So the parade is in full swing. People are going down the escalator, getting off the escalator, exiting, and we can hear, the doors open, we can hear people cheering. I'm at the top of the escalator. Kage's in the middle. And all of a sudden I hear Kage, stop, stop, stop! Because from Kage's viewpoint, they could see the lines starting to back up to the escalator.
And fursuiters on the escalator doing this back step to stay in place.
And I believe the line I used at the top of the escalator to stop people from going down, because no one's listening, it's the fursuit parade. You've got a mattress over your head. Even my melodious voice cannot be heard until I said, do you want to die? Stop! And I motioned down as Jimmy the Sore Rat is hiking up their tail, going backwards up the step. The person in front of them is just crying, just sobbing as they're trying to lift it. Finally, the line moves again. Kage comes trouncing up the stairs, gets to the top, and in a voice that put me to shame goes, if you stop, you die! And then walk back to their position in the middle of the stairs like, you heard him.
I didn't mean the escalator would kill them. That was
I'm aware of that.
You're an intimidating person.
I am not. I'm an old drunk. The marching band, by the way, sent me an email asking if they could come back the following year. My response rhymed with fuck no.
My first Anthrocon.
Yes.
Called me excited.
Yes.
My first Anthrocon, Kage wanted to make sure that I had a good impression of the furry fandom when I fell ass backwards into this mess. So when I went to Anthrocon to observe, I was assigned someone to be a handler for me. They assigned me a 19-year-old to keep an eye on, I mean, he was older than 19, but he didn't look it. To keep an eye on me, and I would later find out was giving these specific instructions from Kage to keep me away from the weird shit. And I have to say, the kid did his job admirably. He really, really did, and that's not easy, because when he was introduced to me and said, I'm supposed to keep track of you and make sure things go well this weekend, I, being no stranger to this sort of thing, looked at him and said, I bet you've been told to keep me away from the weird shit. And he was quiet. I said, son, I am here for the weird shit. I will not make your life easy. This was proven because that night he said, oh, I'll walk you back over to your hotel. And I had another lawyer with me, like a very respectable other attorney with me, who, I shit you not, if you listen back on an old podcast, Furcast, when I first came into this, and there's an interview that they had done with me at the time, and as I was talking to them, one of them said something about, I hear they've asked if you'll go to Anthrocon, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll go and see what that's like. And then you hear my phone go, ding, ding. And what those two dings were another attorney I know sending me a message because they had tuned into that podcast after I told a bunch of other lawyers, the animal people want to talk to me. And the messages read as follows: dude, I want to go to the furry sex con. Which, like, we got there, by the way, and this lawyer's name is Rich. Rich looks at me, he's like, you know, I really wasn't expecting this. I'm like, dude, you have been bugging me about coming to this thing since you heard that. And he said, yeah, but I didn't think we were actually coming. I'm like, why? He goes, well, because I thought you all were just putting me on. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You think 9,000 people got together with me to fake a giant animal person convention just to trick you? He said, yeah. I said, how are you a lawyer? So anyways, we're there. The first night, the kid said, I'll walk back there. I said, that's not necessary. I'll catch a shuttle. He goes, okay, then good night. And the shuttle's pulling up, and I'm watching him, and he turns around and goes inside. And the shuttle says, what hotel are you going to? I said, none. Turned around, walked back into the Westin, and then went up to the Germans' room party.
Oh, no.
At which point I sent a message to the programming director at Anthrocon who had assigned me him, and I said, hey, just a quick question. What's the direct contact number for my handler? He said, this. Why? I said, I'm going to scare him. I sent this kid a message, and he just said, hey, decided not to go back to my hotel at a room party. What's a burr pile? And then I turned my phone off. The next day, he is showing Rich and I around the dealer's den, and we get over to where the art section is. The art auction, all these pieces of art. If you've never been to Anthrocon, they have the art, the general audience art, and then they have like a black curtained off area, and that's where the smut is.
It's called mature art.
So we're there, and it is very obvious that our handler has been given instructions not to let us see the porn. And Rich and I are exchanging looks, and we're going, that's where the porn is. We know that's where the porn is, but this kid's not going to let us go see the porn. So we're lingering in the general art area where the kid looks at us and says, I've got to go real quick and do a quick meeting with the programming staff, but I'm not supposed to leave you all. And I said, look, it's fine. It's fine. I understand. You've been told not to let us back there, and don't worry. You can trust us. We're not going to run off. You go to your meeting. It'll be gone, 5 minutes? He said, yeah. So you go to your meeting real quick, talk to your boss. Come back, and we will be right here. And, thank you so much. And off he goes. And I looked at Rich, and I said, okay, Dad's gone. Let's go look at the desk.
Okay, what did you say to the fellow?
Go to your meeting. We'll stay right here.
I know. You didn't say we'll stay right here. You said we'll be right here when you get back. It's a lawyer thing.
Yeah.
So we go into the port area, and we're walking out, and we see the handler standing around the art exhibit, just looking panicked. And then he turns, and he sees us walking out of the porn, and his face drops. And I walked over, I said 2 things. 1, I now know what a crocodile dick looks like. 2, you don't need to worry, kid. I'm not going to tell your boss. It's fine. And he goes, thank you. I said, Dad, I'm a big boy. I'm not going to say I've ever seen that before, but I've seen things like it. Not as many feathers. A few less balloons. So off we go the rest of the day. That evening after the charity show, I'm in the green room with these 2 wonderful gentlemen. And at this point, my experience with Kage had been very pleasant, and I thought that everything had just been exaggerated, so I decide I'm going to tell him this story in a lighthearted manner, and I do, and Kage goes, oh. Excuse me. And stands up and walks out of the green room. I'm like, oh shit, I just killed that boy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, coming to the stage, your convention chairman, give it up for Dragor!
So usually, did you give the disclaimer about the stories up here?
No.
2 years?
Yeah.
No, we already shattered that. We did a 5-minute ago story.
So I've been getting caught up on the Fursquared staff chats because I have various hearing troubles and I am not on the radios. This is good and bad. I don't get pulled really quickly. I don't have the radio seizure. If you ever see a bunch of staffers all in one area and then suddenly go, shit's going down. So I'm catching up on messages and I see the worst message ever. There's a candy bar alert. Someone asked, what does that mean?
Oh no.
Well, we think there's a candy bar somewhere. Someone asked, what kind? Is it delicious? And someone says, I think there's a Milky Way somewhere. If you have ever seen, oh my God, I'm blanking out on the movie. Caddyshack. People are now starting to talk about smells that they are detecting. The staff chat then readily accelerates to, do you smell dookie? I smell dookie. I smell something, but I don't smell dookie. And back and forth, 2 pages of messages of this. So then people start asking, let's get confirmation. Let's get other staffers, because, your nose adjusts really quickly. Kage has excellent verbiage on why 621 is a very good thing to follow. Thank you, Kage. So other people show up, and then 2 people show up and say, well, I don't smell anything. And then the other people say, well, I still smell something. And then I see the following message, oh God, who has tests? Because people are now immediately panicked that they can't smell.
Oh!
And then, my handler and executive staff knew and doing awesome this year at Fursquared. In the staff leadership says, and I quote, perhaps there was just an errant omission. The staff chat has been silent since.
Dragor, we have a question.
Yeah?
Was this in dealers?
I'm not naming where. I don't want people to go and sniff.
Was it in dealers? This is important.
Matt, you're a lawyer asking me this right now tells me I absolutely should not answer.
How long ago was it?
Wait until you have a lawyer present. You are under no obligation to answer this question.
Whisper the answer to me. How long ago?
Yep.
Would you like me to show you the timestamp?
Yes.
Dragor, I have bad news for you, or good news for you, depending on how you feel about it. Myself and Boozy had quite a bit of dairy last night.
Yeah. So this was 2 hours ago at dealers. Nobody pooped. That's the good news.
Yep. All good, buddy.
The bad news is I've gotten lactose intolerant in my whole leg and I refuse to stop eating ice cream.
It's Wisconsin. I got cheese.
To recap, I have learned to be deeply suspicious of a candy bar alert. I have learned that in these stressful times, as soon as someone can't smell something, please don't jump straight to COVID. And 3, for the love of fuck, pucker power, step outside, it's right there. Do I need to roll up newspaper to beat the both of you?
Look, I was second. All I knew was oh good, they've already ruined everything. They don't mask this nonsense. And then it was just dueling bagpipes, with bagpipes being a misnomer.
I want to be clear. This wasn't rehearsed. What you just saw actually was it was so bad in dealers, we figured somebody must have shit on the floor. Oh God, there was a COVID panic. How long ago was it? A couple hours ago in dealers? Yeah. No, that was me. I just had really bad gas. I'm not sorry.
Can we get back on track here, please?
As we all know, being a con chairman, your work never ends. They need to get back to it. Everyone, give it up for Dragor. I feel bad and humored.
I don't feel bad. Look, my spouse keeps telling me things like, you are lactose intolerant. Please stop eating ice cream. And I'm like, that is not going to happen. So you got two options. Divorce me or buy lactate.
Look, bodily functions cause things. I'll never forget, I was at IFC and I need to use the restroom and I come out washing my hands. While I'm standing in the bathroom washing my hands, two people...
We got gas X.
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, let's go. We're gonna pop these like Pez.
Those are suppositories.
We're gonna pop these like sexy Pez.
You were saying, Mr. Badger?
Hold on. And then all four of us died. I was in the restroom and behind me as I washed my hands, two youths. Oh, hello, Boozy.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm a highly educated professional. This is what I do with my weekends.
We got a COVID scare on stage. So, as I'm standing there, these two youths standing behind me, like, hey, we need to find a place to get weed. And this is a while ago. Weed was definitely not legal in Indiana. I'm just kind of washing my hands like, yeah. And one of them turns to me and goes, hey, do you know where to get illicit substances? His friend turns to him, dude, that's their director of finance. And without missing a beat, and I was so proud of him, the kid says, that means he knows where to get it cheap, man. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I sold them drugs. All right.
I don't have any drug stories.
Now go ahead. Tell us a story.
Oh, man. Oh, I've got a story that I've never told to a FurryCon before.
I think it's time.
This is a convention about a sci-fi convention. So, y'all are convention chairman.
Yes.
Would you say that ghosting your con is a problem that you need to address sometimes?
Yeah!
Yes.
It happens.
Would you say sometimes, like, it might even get out of hand that some people have unauthorized parties at your convention?
Where is this going?
It happens.
Have you ever had Nissan ghost your convention and throw a party?
Nissan specifically?
Yeah.
You mean Nissan Corporation USA?
Yes.
Not that I know of.
I mean, Yamaha maybe? Right?
Well, obviously, I'm
So, I used to work for a convention called MegaCon, not to be confused with Megaplex. They're both in Orlando. Megaplex is about 1,500 people. MegaCon's 130,000. So they take over the Orange County Convention Center, and they also take down all 21 surrounding hotels, including all 21 main ballrooms.
wow.
So the way these big sci-fi cons work is it's a lot more like commercial, kind of like you would have instead of us on stage. Marvel might say, "Hey, we're gonna have Scarlett Johansson go do a panel for an hour, and we're gonna pay her, and everyone's gonna go see it." And then we're gonna have like these very large, like superstar level parties at these hotel ballrooms that are being sponsored by large corporate sponsors. I remember the year that this happened, Deadmau5 was playing in one hotel ballroom and the Killers were in the next one over. Alice Cooper just showed up and just was there. It was a very weird event, but it's, you know, very large. So this was the year that Rogue One came out in theaters, the Star Wars movie. And if you're familiar with Star Wars fandom, you're probably familiar with the 501st. They're a bunch of stormtrooper cosplayers who go around. They do a lot of charity work. They all, you know, they dress up in stormtroopers. They got Darth Vaders, and they basically just act like a battalion of stormtroopers going around. And they tend to throw a charity event every year. And it's not necessarily a huge event, but it's you know, it's for the local Give Kids the World Village. And it's a very, very
nice thing to do, but it's, pretty low budget. It's just a bunch of guys thrown together. They rent out, like half of the ballroom, something this size, maybe twice this size if they're lucky. When Rogue One came out, Nissan approached them and said, "Hey, we're Nissan. We have a thing called the Rogue. Do you mind if we just have one and then we'll buy your ballroom and we'll, give you some lights and stuff?" So they rented the largest hotel ballroom on property, which is larger than FWA's main ballroom. They brought in $500,000 of AV equipment, and they raffled off 2 of the Rogues to attendees.
Oh, shit.
Now, when you have corporate sponsors, you really don't want to see Nissan plastering their name all over the place saying, "Come here for a free car."
Yeah.
So, every hotel AV has a liaison, like from the convention, and I was in charge of 3 hotels. Guess which hotel I got? So I'm talking, this is before the convention, like a few weeks before. I'm like, "Hey, 501st, you guys got this thing?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do it Saturday night. It's not going to be a big thing, don't worry. We got some friends helping load it in. Don't worry, it's all commercial. They know the thing before." They never mentioned the word Nissan. So I go there to do the handoff, and I see, "Nissan presents Go Rogue for Rogue One. Win a Rogue. Win 2 Rogues. $20 entry fee." And I had to go to them and say, "Hey, I know this is for charity, Nissan, but you might want to get someone else in here and talk to them." Oh, God. If it weren't for the fact that it technically was for a charity, there would have been a whole lot more troubles, because there were thousands of people ready to go into this party that had Marshmello as the lead DJ.
Marshmallow?
Yeah, I don't know youth music, but apparently it's big.
That's because sometimes you want some more.
Hold on, kids. Is Marshmello a big, name?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting this from 13 years old, which means he's a huge deal.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It was absolutely a nightmare. Yeah, if it weren't for the fact that, they were like, "Yeah, no, every cent's going to charity. We just happen to have cars to give away for it." So next time, someone decides to throw, Bluetooth speaker in a hotel room, ground yourself.
For they don't need Bluetooth speakers in hotel rooms anymore, as we found out while walking past a hotel room with an open door and seeing a bunch of zombies in a totally quiet room. Flashing lights, dead silence, and a bunch of people. We walk past the room and stop because something is wrong. And the 2 of us kind of lean back in and look at the dead, quiet room with flashing lights. And we're intrigued. We have to know. And upon closer inspection, everyone had headsets on. It was what's called a silent rave. The DJ was at the front of the room screaming to the headsets so there was no noise. But the lights were there, and everything was going. And Kage, to me, goes, "I've never been so happy." This takes care of so many problems with noise complaints and causes so many more new problems with seizures.
Seizures are not my problem.
Not if they're in a hotel room. There's a lot of rules we know. It's like, "What are you doing? Something bad? Where did you do it? My hotel room?"
That's it.
We're cool, dude.
Okay, any con-chair will tell you.
We have 5 minutes. Oh, go ahead.
We have standards of conduct. In your hotel room, you could reenact the invasion of Normandy as long as you mop up the blood and pick up the shell casings. I don't care. But the very, very moment a hotel housekeeping manager sees me in the crowd and does this, you're in trouble.
Yes.
I don't like housekeeping managers doing this to me. That puts me on edge, and when I get on edge, I get murdery.
Oh, no.
We have about 5 minutes left of this panel. Who has one final story for us? Has anyone got a good 5-minute one?
I don't have a furry one, but I have a non-profit one.
Yep, absolutely.
For the past 7 years, I have sat on the board of a small community theater in a tiny town in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you poor son of a bitch.
It has been hell. The theater is owned by a gentleman who we would say, he is a legitimate businessman. Now, we all know how he became a legitimate businessman, but he is a legitimate businessman now. We don't know what his love for Oklahoma is, but he rents us the theater for $1. It has become very dramatic on that board, and after 7 years of yelling and screaming, I had had enough. I sent out in advance of a meeting last week my resignation, saying I am resigning from the board of the theater. As a matter of fact, I can tell you exactly how it read. Hold on. Yeah, that's it for me. You all cannot get out of your own way, and you're acting like spoiled fucking teenagers. Sort it out yourselves. Best of luck. I resigned from the board. The next night was a meeting. As a member of the theater, though no longer a board member, I went to watch the meeting. So now I'm the president of the board of the theater. And I'm still not fucking sure how it happened.
I am waiting for him to resign from Anthrocon staff.
The best I can feel, like I walked in and they're like, without you on the board tonight, we don't have a quorum for the meeting. And I'm like, okay, I will temporarily withhold my resignation for one meeting just so you have a quorum. And we sat down and they called the meeting to order, and the president at that time stood up and said, well, I have an announcement to make, and I'm thinking he's going to say, Boozy is resigning. What he says is, I tender my resignation effective immediately. You need a new president. Bye. And walks out. And less than a second after that, secretary goes, I nominate Boozy. I second the nomination. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none opposed? Boozy, you're the president. And that's like, they're like, you're the president? Yeah, my congratulations, you're president. And like, I'm sitting here and then I go, nay. like it was a complete... The more I think about it, the more I'm pretty sure these elderly people played me. So,
You don't like this? Go ahead and quit the staff. Go ahead. You don't like this? Go ahead and quit. Tell me you resign.
I had chocolate ice cream. Keep poking me.
I'll retrieve your nose plugs.
We're out of time, aren't we?
1 minute.
No, we're out of time.
Well, before we end it, let me tell you, I did get a message from my lovely spouse a moment ago that reads, all in caps, for the love of God, please tell your doctor you are clearing rooms and causing emergencies with your ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, this has been Convention War Stories. Give it up for Fur, Uncle Kage, Boozy Badger. My name is Alphalai. We're going to reset this stage and come right back to you with a comedy better when I'm mad at you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the con and good night.
Silver Gatoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.